Assalamu alaikum everybody, and a very warm welcome back to the Arabic with Sam channel. I hope you guys are all very, very well and in the best of health. Hope you're having a lovely day. Hope you're having a lovely evening, whatever time you're listening to this or watching this. So where are we? We are actually at lesson 9. All the way up to lesson 9. As I think I mentioned before, I think there are only about 11 lessons in this series, so I've only got 2 left. And afterwards, I have kind of planned what I'm going to do next. I'm going to offer you guys for free, like an Arabic crash course on the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. That will be available for free. It will be a bit more special, like it's not just a walkthrough. I'm going to be teaching you all the Arabic that you need, and then I'm going to let you do the walkthrough. So it'll kind of be the other way around. I'll equip you guys with the Arabic you need to be able to read stories like this by yourself and without needing me to walk you through it. So I hope you're looking forward to that. And so let's get on with it. So this lesson is Imanu Hud. So we've seen loads of these Idafa titles. We've seen loads of these Idafa titles. I don't need to explain that to you again. It's just the Iman of Hud. The Iman, what is Iman? Iman is the verbal noun of the verb amana, which is a form 4 verb. And the verbal noun, or the masdar, is Iman, just like the form 4 verb aslama. Aslama would become Islam. So Aslama, Islam. Amana, Iman. And the root letters are Hamza, Mim, and Noon. And it's actually the root where the word in English, amen, comes from. Like when you say amen at the end of a prayer, and any other of you guys out there who are Church of England background like me, those of you who are Church of England background like me, we when we went to Sunday school and stuff, we have to say Amen at the end of the prayers that we did in assembly and stuff. But that Amen that we learnt to say is from, it has its same origins in the word, Hamza, Mim, and Noon. So Imanu is the name for faith, or the word for sort of having belief in something, having faith in something. So the faith of Hud, or the Iman of Hud. وَلَمْ تَجِدْ عَادٌ جَوَّابًا. Very nice. So وَلَمْ, lem essentially just translates to didn't, but the case of verb that this forces the next verb to be is what we call jazm. If the verb is jazm, it's kind of been squeezed. The term jazm means to kind of squeeze, which is why the verb wajada, and in the present tense yajidu, and in this case tajidu, it would be tajidu in the present tense, but because we've said lem tajid, we've kind of squeezed that dhamma on the end, and it gets pronounced like a sukoon. Lem tajid. It means he did not find. He did not find. Actually, in this case, that could be a typo. Actually, because it perhaps actually should be yejid, because it's aad. If it was something feminine, you would say tajid. And we know that aad is the subject. He is the fa'il because he has dhammas on the end. So the verb should represent aad, and I don't believe aad is a feminine, so perhaps it should be yajid. Lam yajid aadun jawaban. What did he not find? If I didn't mention that, this comes from the verb wajada, which means to find. So aad did not find jawaban. He did not find a jawab. Jawab was a word that we learned in the last lesson. It means an answer. Aad did not find an answer. He didn't find an answer to these questions that he was asking the people of Hud. وَمَا عَلِمُوا كَيْفَ يُجِيبُونَ هُودًا. So, وَمَا عَلِمُوا. When you put ma before a past tense verb, it just makes it negative. So, and they did not know. كَيْفَ يَجِيبُونَ. They did not know how they would respond. Yujibuna comes from the word jawab, they have the same root words. And they did not know how they would respond to who? Huden. In English we have to say, you have to respond to someone. But in Arabic you don't, you just say you respond to someone. You don't have to have a preposition in there. In English we need to say to. But in Arabic you don't, you just say how they didn't know how they would respond to him. A little bit like difference between American English and English actually. Like in English, we have to write to someone in English, but in the Americans can say you can write someone. Like I wrote him yesterday. But in England, we don't know what that means. So let's carry on. وَلَكِنَّهُمْ قَالُوا. But they said, لما عجزوا. Yeah, عجزوا, sorry. So, yeah, but they said when this word lemma means when, and it's not when as in a question, like asking someone when did you go. It's when, kind of setting the scene. It's saying when this happened back in the day, when blah 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 was happening. So the verb عجز, funny verb actually. It actually means to kind of to weaken or to grow old. I mean, in this case, I assume it's when they grew old, right? Like a lot of time passed, and the people were not embracing Islam, and they grew old, and that was why they started to make the accusations that they'll go on to accuse him of. But yeah, ajaza. It's actually a term that you might have heard of, which is ajuz. I've heard a lot of Somalis use the term ajuz. I don't know if it's because they speak Arabic as well, the Somalis who I'm talking about, or if that word actually exists in Somali. But an ajuz is just like an elderly person. It can be a man or a woman. You don't need to put a tatmad bort on the end to make it feminine. Yeah, ajuz. There are some funny words that sound like it. Like there's this four-letter root verb, which is aja aja. Yeah, which sounds funny, but it means it means to sort of bellow. I think it's like what animals do. If you talk about aja, I don't know if it's something that humans do, but yeah, aja has nothing to do with. It's not from the same root as ajaz. I just thought it sounded kind of similar and a bit funny. Aja. Often these kind of four-letter root verbs are sort of what's the term? Onomatopoeic. They kind of sound like what they mean. Like I think I mentioned in my podcast last week about my 10 favourite verbs. There's this verb rafrafa, and it means to kind of flap or flutter. You talk about it like, if you talk about like a flag sort of flying in the wind, you say like a rafrafa, or you use rafrafa for a bird flapping its wings or something. And it sounds like, rafrafa. Also the verb humhammer, which means to hum, humhammer, so those four-letter root words are often onomatopoeic. So anyways, back to this. But they said, when they became old, they said, قَدْ غَضِبَتْ عَلَيْكَ. So قَد is like saying sort of indeed or certainly. غَضِبَتْ, the verb غَضِبَ means to be angry at someone. قَدْ غَضِبَتْ عَلَيْكَ. It has been angry to you. Who? آلِهَتُنَا. So our gods have sort of put their wrath on you. The term غضب in itself, I mean, when it's used in the Quran and Islamic scripture, it's usually best to mean wrath. But it does kind of have a modern usage of, if people say like أنا غضبان. غضبان means angry. If you're angry with someone, it doesn't mean like I'm going to unleash my wrath upon you. But when it's talking about Allah, it's kind of best translated to wrath. Like when we think about Allah being angry, sometimes it might carry the connotation of him being weak in some way, which is obviously, ma'adh Allah, that's not what we mean. He has no need to kind of be weakened by feeling angry at things that we do. It's just whether he will unleash his wrath upon some individuals or not. So ghadban, and it is, as it is used here, it is used as a verb. Ghadiba, and in the present tense, yaghdab. Ghadiba yaghdabu. If you say to someone, like, don't be angry with me, la taghdab minni. You say, la taghdab minni. Don't be angry with me. Good. So our gods have become angry with you. For asabaka maradun. Oh, okay, nice. So this fa at the beginning isn't actually part of the verb. The asaba is the important bit I want you to look at. So asaba is actually where this word musiba comes from. I don't know if you've heard of a musiba before. I believe I've heard some of my best friends are Pakistanis, and I've heard in Urdu that they have this term like musibat or something. And if you're Pakistani guys, can you let us know if that's true? Musibat, and it's like a calamity or something, something dreadful that's befallen you or something. But the term asaba, it does mean to kind of inflict, and a marad is a sickness. So they're like Hud is saying to Ad that Hud. my brain has flopped there a little bit. Forget it, okay. But let's come back to here, okay. The reason why this is Tejid, it's not a grammar mistake. It's because Ad is the tribe, and the tribe is treated as feminine singular. Hud is the prophet and not Ad. Yeah, I don't know why my brain behaved like that. Sorry, guys. Let's come back over here. So a musiba is something that a calamity has been inflicted upon someone. Asaba means to inflict upon someone else. Marad fi aqlika, in your brain. Yeah, they're literally saying, you know, Aad are saying to Hud, you know, our gods have become angry with you and inflicted a sickness in your brain. You know, that's what they're saying. But I was talking about the verb asaba. The term asaba has its roots in actually meaning to be very accurate. You know, it's to do with like accuracy and hitting a target accurately. You know, so like a wisdom that comes out of it is like when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does asaba towards someone, it's not that he's afflicting a calamity on them necessarily. It's that he's doing it for a very, very accurate reason. Like the calamities that befall you are perfect for you. They're tests that are directly from Allah, directly for that individual. So, but anyway, so the people of Aad use this term. Use this term for inflicting this sickness of the brain onto Hud alayhi salam. So yeah, okay, cool. Let's make some progress, inshallah. وقد وقع عليك وبالا من الآلهة. So وقد وقع, to وقع is to like be placed, and has been placed a wabal. A wabal is kind of a curse, but it's usually like a retaliation for something. It's usually a punishment for something. Let's call it a curse for now. And a curse has been placed upon you. من الآلهة, from the gods. Yeah, gods with a small g. Like their idol gods. قال هود إن هذه الأصنام حجارة. Indeed these idols are stone. لا تنفع أحدا ولا تضر. They do not benefit anyone. ولا تضر, and they do not harm. وإن هذه الأصنام حجارة. And that's kind of a repetition of what's already been said here. And indeed these idols are stone. لا تتكلم ولا تسمع ولا تنظر. These they do not speak, and they do not hear, and they do not look at anything. You know, this is very like the stuff that we get into in this chapter. This chapter 9 is very like Meccan. It's very Meccan topics. You know, the sort of things that are said in the Quran down here in these ayat we'll get to reading. It's very Meccan. You know, like I'd never actually thought about where the surah of Hud alayhi salam was from. I didn't know if it was Mecca or Medina. But as soon as you start to get into the story, you see that it shows traits of being so Mecca. Like the traits of that surah are just they're so Mecca. They're all about the nature of how Tawheed is correct. They're all about the nature of how worshipping idols is just so clearly misguided. You know, and associating partners with Allah is so clearly misguided. You know, it's so deep. It's so deep in that topic that it makes it so obvious that it's a surah from Mecca. Let's carry on. إن هذه الأصنام, indeed these idols, لا تملك خيرا ولا شرا. They do not have good, and they do not have evil. The verb ملك يملك is to do with kind of having possession over something. They don't have good, and they do not have evil. ولا تملك لأحد نفعا ولا ضرا. And they do not have to anyone نفعا, a benefit, and not a harm. وإنكم أيضا, and you also. أيضا, you know, this term أيضا means also. In Arabic often people say كمان, but don't say كمان in Fusha. Say أيضا. أيضا is what means also. And you also. لا تملكون خيرا ولا شرا. And even you guys, you know, the people of Aad, even you, you know, you do not have good or evil. You know, you cannot sort of impose good or evil. ولا تملكون لي نفعا ولا ضرا. And you do not sort of have towards me, you cannot inflict upon me good or evil. إني لا أؤمن بآلهتكم ولا أخافهم. Okay, good. So, indeed I, لا أؤمن. This term أؤمن is actually from the verb آمن, which we mentioned earlier. آمن, and that's kind of the present tense. أؤمن, لا أؤمن بآلهتكم. I don't believe in your idols. I don't believe in your idols. ولا أخافهم, and I do not fear them. I'm not sure why it's saying hum. It's referring to them as the aliha are Well, actually, no, I do. I do actually. Yeah, you should refer to aliha as hum probably in this case, but usually with things that are inanimate, obviously all other gods are inanimate. They're not conscious in any way. You usually refer to those with the ha. If for example, if Hud alayhi salam was saying, I do not believe in your statues rather than your gods, he would say, La uminu bi asnamikum wa la akhafuha, and I do not fear her. The asnam would be treated as feminine. But in this case, it does actually sound right, to be honest, that you are treating the aliha, the gods, as sort of conscious. And then we have an ayah from the Quran. Inni bari'un mimma tushrikun. So indeed I am bari'un. This term bari' is very similar to at the beginning of Surah At-Tawbah when Allah says bara'atun. It's saying that you're far away from something. When you say you're free from something, inni bari'un mimma ta'budun. I'm far away from that which you worship. But what Hud alayhi salam is saying here is, indeed I am. I am far away from that which you sort of make partners with. وَلَا أَخَافُكُمْ أَيْضًا, and I don't fear you either. And then there's a little part from an ayah. فَكِيدُونِ جَمِيعًا. فَكِيدُوا, I mean the term kaid is a plan. So sort of plan or plot. Plot against me together. Plot against me together. I don't fear you. There's a lot to be said for kind of, people who, out of khawf, out of fear, they kind of, don't say things that are perhaps the truth. Like I know, like a lot of the times in, especially in the Middle East, like a lot of the time in different masajid, the imam might be scared to speak the truth about the country, because he does fear them, because he fears the government, fears the police, fears the things that are out to try to stifle Islam. But Hud is demonstrating to us here, perfectly alayhi salam, that he doesn't fear them, and even mentions that they're all plotting together. He doesn't fear them even though they're all plotting together. He knows that regardless of their plots, Allahu khayrul makirin, Allah is the best of plotters. Inni tawakkaltu ala Allahi rabbi wa rabbikum. Inni tawakkala is a verb you're probably familiar with. You often hear the term tawakkul. The term tawakkul is for trusting in Allah Azza wa Jal. But when you use it as a verb, inni tawakkaltu, I have trusted ala Allah. I have trusted upon Allah. I have trusted in Allah. Rabbi, my Lord, wa rabbikum, and He's your Lord too. Kullu shay'in, every shay, everything. Tahta yadih is underneath His hand. Literally a yad is just one hand. ولا تسقط ورقة إلا بإذنه. That's beautiful, subhanAllah. So, ولا, and it doesn't. تسقط, this from the verb سقط, which means to fall. ورقة, a waraqa is a leaf. And a leaf does not fall except with His permission, except with His will. إلا بإذنه. So if not even a leaf will fall without Allah's permission, how can Hud alayhi salam believe that he would fall except with Allah's permission? Not with Aad's permission. It's not about whether Aad gives them permission for him not to fall. It's Allah's permission. So that's everything from this lesson. Apologies for the little confusion that I had at the beginning of the video, and thank you for paying attention and having patience through it and allowing me to correct it, inshallah. That bit at the beginning, I don't know what happened to my brain up here with understanding the word Aad and getting it mixed up with Hud. They both have a del at the end, and they both got a long vowel in the middle, and it's no excuse really, is it? But but it's something. So next week, what on earth will we learn next week? We will do A'inad Aad, and I believe that is there's one more, Al-Adhab, and then that must be the last one. I don't think there's not a number 12, okay? There's only 2 more videos of this. So the next 2 weeks, we'll be finishing off this story, and then I'm going to offer you a free gift. I'll offer you a free gift, equipping you with all of the vocab that you need to read the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, and not just walking you through it, but teaching you all of the Arabic behind it. So if there's any jargon that I've been talking about throughout this program that you've not understood, or anything that you'd like to, come on board with me and let me tell you my perspective on it, and let me show you the way that I teach it in my program, then come onto this free little program that I've done specially for you guys, and you can kind of get a behind the script teaching, inshallah. But that'll be in a couple of weeks. That'll be available to you guys in a couple of weeks when we've finished off this course. And then perhaps on the YouTube channel we'll move over to doing a poem or something. I'd like to do a different genre. It'd be nice if we could start doing some walkthroughs of of some poetry. Some of you guys who are doing the GCSE Arabic, may Allah protect you. So some of you, quite a lot of GCSE Arabic students have got in touch with me and asked me if I can help them. Really, the exam board should help you. But unfortunately it has fallen to me, because of how incompetent or careless the exam boards are for their students and their contempt for you. It has fallen to me. You can tell I'm a little bit bitter about it, really, because I just think that they should help their students a little bit more than what they do. They take your money, they take your cash, but when it comes to actually putting out resources and supporting you, that's a whole other story. The rant concludes here. Thank you very much for joining me in the lesson today. I've loved sharing this with you guys. May Allah bless you guys. May Allah give you a very, very beneficial week, and I hope to see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope you did, don't forget to like and share it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Come over to my website and have a look at the other stuff that I do and all the work that I do, ArabicwithSam.com. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
وما أرسلنا من رسول إلا بلسان قومه ليبين لهم فيضل الله من يشاء ويهدي من يشاء وهو العزيز الحكيم.